Hi guys, and welcome back to another video for Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. In today's video, we're going to be continuing the series of weapon guides for new players to NGS, and today we're going to be looking at the sword weapon, which is used by the Hunter class. So sword is a really simple weapon. It's mainly used to hit multiple targets, but it's also fairly decent for sustained damage as well. One of the sort of key characteristics of sword is that a lot of the Photon Arts that it uses have the ability to be charged. So what we'll do is we'll go into how sword works, the basic move set of the weapon. Then we'll look at all the different Photon Arts, and we'll also look at some skills that will benefit you if you want to use sword as well. So first thing we'll look at is we'll look into the basic combo for sword. So your first hit is just a quick hit to the left. So it hits directly in front of you and it's reasonable damage. And the second hit is just hitting back the other way again. So again, it's just one hit. I should note though that because sword is quite a large weapon, you can hit multiple enemies with each hit. And then your third hit, again, is just another hit back across again. And then your fourth, same again. So it's a really simple combo. They do have that final hit at the end where you do a somersault and then smash the sword down into the ground. And that does a lot more damage. I think you might need a skill to unlock that though, but we'll check that later on. So just again to show you the full combo for sword, that is... So it's really simple for the most part. It's just each hit is one attack. So it's not like other weapons where you get multiple hit strings out of the same button input. You will just get one hit each time. So that's the basics of how that works. Next thing we're going to look at is the weapon action. So the weapon action for sword is just a guard. So you can just hold it, put a guard up. You can also perfect guard with it as well by blocking at the right time. But yeah, essentially, just by holding guard, you'll just reduce any damage that you take from attacks. It won't nullify it altogether if you just hold the guard. It will just reduce the damage that you take instead. So really simple weapon so far. Next thing we'll look at is the Photon Arts. So for sword, again, like most weapons in NGS, you have 4 different Photon Arts. So we have Spiral Edge, Twisting Zapper, Caliber Streak, and Relentless Cleave. So first of all, we'll look at Spiral Edge. So it says, rise in a vertical slashing spiral ascent. Charging increases the potency. So if you do this uncharged, you'll just do a quick rise, and you'll hit a couple of times on the way up. It's 2 hits. You may notice that I'm kind of hovering in the air at the end of it. That's down to another skill. Normally you would just drop back down to the ground again. But again, this is mainly used to gain height. So if you want to hit aerial enemies, it will give you a bit extra height. You can also obviously use it off a jump as well. So if you double jump and then do it, get a little bit more height. Although the height increase from the Photon Art doesn't seem to be anywhere near as much after a jump. You can see I'm not really gaining much height at all, if any. But you gain a very slight amount. But if you just do it from the ground, you'll get the height straight away. Now, you can also charge this Photon Art. So if you charge it, you get a lot more hits out of it. You can see it does a lot of small hits and then finishes it with a larger one. And again, you're getting that vertical height increase as well. I think you actually get a little bit more height out of it, actually. So if you do it uncharged, do it charged, it might be about the same, actually. Now, with this Photon Art as well, there is actually a second charge state to it, where you do even more hits. So if you listen to when it charges, there's an obvious sound that it makes when you hit the first level charge, but then actually it makes another sound when you get the second charge. So that's level 1. That's level 2. So I should note as well, while you're charging, you can actually still move around. This will just hold as long as you want it to. Then just release the button to let the charge go. So really, really simple. So that is Spiral Edge. So the next one we'll look at is Twisting Zapper. This says, rise in a horizontal slashing spiral ascent. Charge increases the number of spins. So again, if we do this uncharged, see, she just spins around a few times and hits number of times. So it's 4 hits altogether, with the final hit doing a little bit more damage. Now, this is mainly used for taking care of groups of enemies around you, because it does hit all around you. And again, with this, you can also charge it as well. You can see it just adds a few more hits on, and it's also a bit faster as well. That's it normal. That's it charge. So you just get a few more hits out of it. And again, we have a second stage charge. Now that it does about the same number of hits, I think, as the first charge state, but the finishing hit is a lot stronger. Again, if we just do a level 1 charge, that last hit's hitting about 4,000 damage. Where if we do the full level 2, see, it ends with like 7,800, so it's a lot stronger. The downside, obviously, is that you have a much longer charge, because the amount of time it takes to charge between level 1 and level 2 is quite long. So getting to level 1 is quite fast, but then getting to level 2 charge takes a while. So level 1 straight away. Then level 2 takes a lot longer. But you get a lot more damage out of it, so it's up to you. I suppose if an enemy was downed, you could maybe get away with using the level 2. So that is Twisting Zapper. Now the next one is Caliber Streak. So this is, unleash a powerful slash. Can attack up to 3 times by pressing the PA button after the slash. Charging the attacks will increase the number of hits for each of them. So with this, if you just do the Photon Art without any additional presses and without charging it, you just get that 1 slash. If you continue to press it as it says, so if you continue to press it, you see you get a couple more slashes out of it, and they do reasonable damage each. Now with this, again, you can charge it, so if we charge it up, it's an interesting one, this, because you can't actually hold the charge on this one, so you can, it locks you in place here, and it releases automatically. So I can't control that, it releases automatically after a certain amount of time. And compared to the other Photon Arts, so if we use, again, Spiral Edge, while we're charging, we can move around. But with Caliber Streak, you are locked in place as soon as you start charging. You may have noticed there, so when you release the button, if you hit a direction at the same time, you can actually adjust the direction that you release the slash in, but you can't actually move your character while you're charging. You can also, you can still combo the rest of the combo off the first hit. So basically, if you can actually still do the full combo, but just charge it in between each hit. So the way you do that is you hold the button to charge. After a little while, it'll release automatically. As soon as it releases, if you then hold the PA button again, and then again and then release it, it'll do a second hit with the extra hits added. And then if you hold the PA button after the second hit, you can do a third hit with extra hits. So again, just to show you, so just pressing the button without any charging, you get those 3 hits. But if you hold the PA button in between each charge, you see you get a lot more hits out of it. Now, because of how long that takes, it is the full charge is kind of only useful for if an enemy's downed or if it's a very slow enemy. Otherwise, you probably won't get much chance to use it. But that's Caliber Streak anyway. So the next one, the last Photon Art, is Relentless Cleave. This is cuts enemies in half with a powerful strike. Charging increases the attack range and its potency. So with this one, if we do it uncharged, you just get a very quick hit. And it does also give you a little bit of vertical height as well. There's not much to it when you do it uncharged. If you charge it up, level 1, you get a lot more damage out of it. You can see again, if I just do it uncharged, we get about 4,000 damage. If I do it level 1 charge, we get basically double the damage, and it's actually a really short charge as well. Again, we have an extra charge level. That does even more damage. And you can see that this does some huge damage numbers. It is a really, really strong Photon Art. So again, with this one as well, you can also move around while you're charging. You are limited to a walk, so you can't run or anything. If you're dashing, it will actually cancel out of it as well. So if you go to charge this up and then the enemy moves, for example, you can then just dash cancel out of it. Just like that. So charge it up and then just dash to release. And you can dash cancel out of it. So you can pull out of it if an enemy moves away from you. Because obviously while you're charging, you are limited to quite a slow movement speed. So if it's quite a fast enemy, it might move out of the way. So you can then just dash cancel out of that and then just go and charge again when you get close to the enemy. But yeah, again, the main use for this, I would say, is mainly for enemy downs. So if an enemy gets downed, you probably want to use fully charged Relentless Cleave to get the most damage out of it. Because you can see it is quite a long charge. But you do get a ton of damage out of it. So that's the main Photon Arts for Sword. I should just quickly note actually on Relentless Cleave, if you charge it up, the actual range of the attack increases as well, so you can hit more enemies with it. That's the basics of how the sword works in terms of the Photon Arts. So skills that you might want to learn if you're going to use sword quite a lot. So Warcry can be quite useful for sword because what Warcry does is it's an active skill you put on your palette, and while it's active, it basically draws the aggro of enemies, so enemies are more likely to come for you. If you use that, you can then group them up and just hit them with a lot of the sword Photon Arts that hit groups of enemies. So it's one reasonable use for using Warcry. Typically, I don't use Warcry very often, mainly because aggro and NGS seems to be not that important, to be honest. You tend to find with NGS that enemies will just attack you anyway, and there's that many enemies that you don't really need to pull aggro. So other skills that will benefit you if you're using sword, omnidirectional guard isn't bad. What this does is it basically allows you, when you use your weapon action to guard, it basically allows you to guard from any direction. So an enemy could attack you from behind, and if you do a guard, if you've got omnidirectional guard learned, you'll still be able to block it, even though you're facing the wrong way. Without that, you would have to face the enemy to guard it properly. As with all Hunter weapons, Hunter Art Avenger is vital. This allows you to basically increase your potency on Photon Arts if you take a hit while using a Photon Art. Now, because Sword has so many charged Photon Arts, that means it's absolutely ripe for using Hunter Art Avenger. So you'll be almost constantly getting Hunter Art Avenger procs when you're using Sword. Yeah, we have Sword Attack Extra, so at the beginning of the video I showed you the normal combo for Sword. So that last hit with the somersault at the end, you only get that once you unlock Sword Attack Extra. So next up we have Sword Guard Counter. This is performing a perfect guard with weapon action will automatically unleash a counter attack. So we mentioned that the weapon action is that guard. You can just hold it to reduce damage, but if you guard perfectly, like a parry, you'll automatically counter the opponent if you've got that skill learned. And we have Sword Art Overcharge. This is charging a Photon Art for a set time increases its potency. So it just gives you a flat damage boost for charging a Photon Art with a sword. Next we've got Sword Guard Counter Plus. This is performing a Sword Guard and following it with a normal attack will unleash a counter attack. So this is actually quite cool. So if you manage to guard with a sword, if you successfully guard and then immediately hit normal attack, you'll do another counter attack. So again, sword is one of these weapons that has multiple different ways of countering. Then we have Sword Art Charge Avenger. This is once you've charged a Photon Art for a certain amount of time, being hit by an enemy will cause the Photon Art to be released with Hunter Art Avenger applied to it. This is fantastic because what this does is, as you know with Avenger, it triggers when you get hit by an enemy. So what this is if you're charging a Photon Art, getting hit by an enemy will not only apply Hunter Art Avenger, but will also cause the Photon Art to immediately release. Then we have Sword Attack Alternation. So this is causes the first normal attack you perform after activating Hunter Art Avenger to be changed into a powerful attack. So what this does more or less is, if you trigger Hunter Art Avenger and then do a normal attack, instead of just starting with that hit at the start of the combo, it'll just do a much more powerful hit instead. So again, it's encouraging you to use Hunter Art Avenger. It is a really, really integral part of Hunter in general, but for Sword in particular, it's almost crucial to using it effectively. Next up we have Sword SC Alternation. So this is the sidestep counter changes to an attack that quickly rushes at the enemy. So normally with a sidestep counter, you would do a dash to sidestep. Sidestep is what it refers to as like the quick dash. So that is considered a sidestep. If you attack immediately after that and you do it by dodging an attack, normally you'll do a little counter attack. But with Sword, it's actually designed so that if you do a sidestep counter and then attack from it and get a counter, you'll actually do a special counter where you'll actually charge towards the enemy. So it's a really easy way of getting in on opponents. And that more or less covers it for the sword skills. So there's not a whole lot of skills that are specific to the weapon. But as I've said, a lot of using sword effectively is relying on Hunter Art Avenger and getting that damage boost out of it, and using the skills like the skill that allows you to immediately counter with a Photon Art from using Avenger. So you want to be making sure that you are charging Photon Art whenever you can, particularly if you think an enemy is going to attack you, just so you can trigger that Avenger. Apart from that, obviously it has a couple of different ways of countering, so you want to always be making sure that you're using those whenever you can. And just trying to evaluate as well when it's safe to do a full charge, when it's safe to just do like a level 1 charge. If you think about it, if you're trying to get a relentless cleave off, you can see here that it does take a while to charge. Getting to level 1 is quick. Level 2 though is a long wait to get to it. So if you're trying to constantly go for a level 2 charge, you're probably not going to hit a lot of things with it because enemies are going to move out the way. If it's normal enemies, there's a good possibility that it might die before you even get the relentless cleave off. So generally you want to weigh up when to use different charge levels. Obviously if you're on a boss and the boss gets downed, or if it's a break, then obviously you can go ham with the full charges because the boss isn't going to move. But if you're fighting a more mobile enemy, it might be worth considering doing a lesser charge or not charging at all in some cases. So just weigh that up when you're using sword. Same applies to a lot of other weapons as well, but because sword is so integral around charging, you do need to kind of weigh that up a bit more. So I think that more or less covers it for sword in particular. Again, there are a lot of generalized skills that affect all hunter weapons, things like Hunter Art Avenger, that apply to all hunter weapons, but they benefit things like sword a lot just because of the way that sword works. So I think I'll call that video there for now. As I've said, sword is a fairly simple weapon to use once you get your head around how Hunter Art Avenger works. But for the most part, a very, very simple weapon, and it's probably the easiest of the 3 hunter weapons to learn. Any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll try and answer what I can. We will continue doing these weapon guides as well for different weapons, just until we've done all the different weapons in NGS. So any comments, leave them in the in the comments below. I'll try and answer what I can. But for the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next video.